All right, so next up we're going to do the lying leg curl. So we're gonna have Ben set up on the machine. We're gonna talk about the setup like we will for everything first. So we wanna make sure that Ben's knee is actually just off the bench here. It's just so once he kind of brings up his knee and curls, that his knee's not like kind of driving into the bench in an uncomfortable manner. We wanna make sure that this pad kind of sits, I guess like just below the cuff, and make sure that it kind of just sits comfortably leverage-wise for the person. So after a couple of reps, you'll kind of know whether it's uncomfortable or not. In terms of like position of the hip here, Ben actually wants to try and drive his hips into the bench, stack his ribs, increase pressure and tension in his midsection, and actually squeeze his glutes as well, because there's gonna be a desire to lift the bum up and obviously like, you know, flex the hip, because if we flex the hip, we can't actually shorten the hamstring as much as we can. And this is one of those exercises where you actually get that hamstring really, really, really short. For physique development, that's probably advantageous for most people. So I'll get Ben to execute the movement. So he's gonna stack the midsection, ribs, he's gonna keep the glutes engaged, and he's trying to take those heels to his bum. Notice Ben's foot position as well. If he's plantar flexed, he'll use more of his calf because it'll be isometrically contracted, but he'll actually place most of the tension on the hamstring. So it's a good way of isolating the hamstring. And I tend to find you can mechanically load it as well, or mechanically drop set it. So you can start like that, and then you can take your toes to your feet, or so your toes to your knees, and then that obviously takes a little bit of the tension away from the hamstring. Things to look for, we don't want Ben, it's a bit of a tight squeeze in here for two big fellas. Things we don't want to see is like those hips kind of driving up off the bench or that person kind of rocking. If we have those hips coming up and we're not stacked in the midsection, rib cage isn't compact and there's no pressure there, we're going to, you know, kind of centralize some tension into that lower back region. And that's when people can start to get some irritation and potentially get some soreness and whatnot. So as a coach, you know, we're being very conscious of what's happening with their hips. Sometimes just, you know, a little cue, just like, you know, pointing at their hips, or like if they do allow you to kind of put your hands on them, just like kind of placing them there, is a really good cue to kind of keep them aware. Do you want to do the prone position one as well? So there's a couple of variations of it. A lot of machines will, I guess, like promote slight flexion of the hip already. Like this back pad here kind of goes down. So if Ben lies in the machine here, he's flexed at the hip if he doesn't come up. So we can actually match this gradient by Ben being slightly prone on the bench here. So now if we look at the shoulder, the hip, and the knee, they're all in alignment. So if Ben stacks his ribs, he can actually get that hamstring real short, because we're not going to fall into a slightly flexed position at the hip. We're actually creating full extension. So anyone has a good test of like feeling what that's like. If I fully extend my body and I go to flex my knee, it's like I feel my hamstring. And then if I want to take the tension away, just do that and then do it again. And it's like the contraction is notably less.